Hello and welcome to 3D Print Passion. If you are new to 3D printing, maybe want to buy a printer and you don't know what kind of printer is right for you, you are definitively right here in this video. The first question you should ask yourself is, what kind of prints you want to make? Are you more interested in smaller prints, maybe somewhere in the range of 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters by 20 centimeters, but with a very high quality? Then you should take a closer look to SLA printers. These printers process a liquid resin which always prints one layer at once and has to be washed out and hardened after print. As this resin is harmful to health, both an FFP2 mask and rubber gloves are required. Most resins have a really unpleasant smell during printing. The room should be well ventilated and ideally you should be not in the room during printing. However, the quality this printer produces is incredibly detailed and it's great for small features, sculptures, decoration and a lot of other things, even especially smaller components. Furthermore, you ideally need a washing station. This can also be a container filled with isopropanol as well as a device for curing. For small prints, a UV light can also be used for curing fingernails. Of course, it is better to have your own device which exposes the part evenly from all sides and ensures optimal curing and an optimal result. To the specialists among that viewers, please leave me additionally comments on SLA printing for the less experienced viewers. This will help to round up the picture a little bit on SLA printing. If you are more interested in larger prints and the variety of plastics, want to be flexible or other special filaments, you are well advised to use an FDM printer. The range of plastic is constantly growing. Whether PLA, fluorescent PLA, PLA with wood or stone content, PETG, ABS, ASA, TBU, HIPS, or one of the other many dozens of types of plastics and variants, here you have the entire range to realize yourself. The FDM printer produces components by means of molten plastic. Filament, for example, which is applied piece by piece. When the first layer is finished, the printer moves one layer up in the Z-axis and the printer works its way through the next layer. The process takes time and, unlikely, SLA printing leaves visible layers. The process is ideally for creating components, spare parts, of course also decorative parts, and almost infinity more possibilities. Typical FDM printers have a size of 22 by 22 centimeters around and can print somewhere about 25 centimeters in height. However, there are printers that are not too expensive that can print up to 35 by 35 centimeters and 40 centimeters in height. To get to a point, there are also much larger FDM printers, but these are either quite expensive and more likely to be used in the commercial sector, or they are homemade, do it yourself. But these are not what we are talking about today. Before you decide on the maximum size, I would like to give you a tip. Buy a printer that is as large as necessary and as small as possible. With the size of the printer, the challenges and possible optimization problems increase, which can cause problems for beginners. Also, the more mass you have to move, the slower you should print to get the same result in the end. Think about what you might want to print with a base area and try to imagine, perhaps with the help of a ruler, how large the construction space should be. You will be surprised how big an object of 22 by 22 by 25 centimeters can actually be. This size will be easily sufficient for the most hobby users. Within the group of FDM printers, there are different structures. I would like to introduce you the two most popular ones. On one hand, there are printers which are called Core XY. With these printers, the print bed only moves up and down along the Z-axis. This has the advantage that no large mass has to be moved. The construction of the X and Y axis is also usually designed to save weight. For this purpose, a Bowden extruder is used, which feeds the filament via a hose, via a tube, to the melting area, the nozzle of the printer. This saves weight and increases the theoretical printing speed with the same quality in direct comparison to a gantry printer. More about this in a moment. The biggest disadvantage of the Core XY printers is the Bowden extruder itself. A Bowden extruder tries to produce more fine plastic threads, so-called stringing, during printing. Especially flexible filament is usually a bit harder to print with this kind of printers. The advantage is that these printers often have a good printing behavior and can also be converted to a multi-material printer later with a little experience and tinkering. Let's move on to the portal printers, where you will also find Bowden extruders, but also the direct extruder. This type of construction is particularly suitable for gantry printers. The disadvantage of the higher weight due to this extruder, as well as to the moving bed, which is moving forwards and backwards during the print, is compensated by the printers due to their simple and easy to understand construction. Usually lower price, and the advantage that these printers can usually also handle flexible filaments a little bit better. If you print a little bit slower, you will easily reach the quality of a Core XY printer comparable in the same price range. Which is why I would rather recommend a gantry printer for beginners. Once you've had fun with this hobby, you'll rarely be stuck with just one printer anyway. And if you have more than one printer, then the printing time is not the primary role anymore, because you can produce several objects at the same time. Whether a printer has a graphic display or a matrix display does not play a major role at all, in my opinion. This is more a visual sales incentive. Technically, in terms of operability and adjustability, matrix displays often have the advantage. However, this should not influence your purchase decision. Much more value should be placed on the inner parts of a printer. I recommended that you only buy printers with a 32-bit mainboard and printer drivers that are specified as silent. For example, TMZ2208. If a 4988 driver appears somewhere in the offer, I would no longer recommend them. These motor drivers are outdated and noisy. Manufacturers who still sell such devices today are either selling models which are older, or they don't upgrade their products. Of course, these devices are somewhere cheaper, but at the latest, when you are operating in a room in which you are spending time, the annoying factor is quite high. Another interesting criteria are automatic bed leveling systems called ABL. Until a few years ago, these were very rare as a standard equipment, but today they are often supplied as standard or can be easily fitted afterwards as an option. Quite a few beginners have given up this wonderful hobby, depending to frustration in leveling the first layer and the bed. With an ABL system, you don't have that large part of sources of problems and errors, not anymore, because it will be leveled more or less automatically. Clearly, however, I would like to address all those who have a hobbyist heart, enjoying tinkering, and also have patience, buy a printer and perhaps upgrade to an ABL system later. This will significantly improve your learning curve and your understanding of the details in this really important area. However, I would like to mention another detail that is almost unimportant these days. Buy a printer with a heating bed. Even though there are only a few printers left without a heating bed, my recommendation is don't buy one if you want to experience fun and variety in this hobby. It is also advisable to buy a printer that is strongly represented on the market. This will give you a large community that can help you if problem arises. How you can recognize such a printer? Well, Google the printer names and the word forum or whatever, or look around in Facebook for fitting groups. If you find a lively community, great. Then you're one step closer to making a decision. I struggled for a long time with whether or not to name manufacturers, and in the end decided against it. The aim of this video is not to sell a printer, but to give you a guide that will help you to make a better choice. However, if you are interested in which printer I use, please have a look in the video description below. To round off the video, I would also like to mention that there are probably hundreds of details that could also be included in that video. However, many of these would be aimed to advanced users who would like to improve their printers with aluminium beds, special nozzles, or all kinds of other equipment available. However, from my point of view, this would be beyond the scope of this video and plays only a minor role in the beginning. A small tip in between to the more advanced ones looking these videos and looking for a second printer and want to learn more. Buy something else what you already have. If you have a Bowden extruder, think about to buy a direct extruder. If you have a gantry printer, you might want to consider a Core XY. Each design has its advantages and disadvantages that can be exploited with a little experience to get much better results. Not every printer prints every object equally well. The printer may be partially well suited to print tall and thin objects due to its design, while other printer prints other objects particularly well. If you're interested to see more videos about printing things, here you have a small selection. You can see other videos from me. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, a comment if you are interested to see more videos from me. Click the subscribe button and the bell. Thank you very much. See you next time and happy printing. Bye.